Hello everyone, Cowbunger here with another edition of What We Know About Fraymakers. And today we are going to be talking about Fraytools. Yeah, this is probably going to end up being one of the longest, if not the longest edition of this series, and I'm tackling it second, so let's just strap in and get straight into it. What is Fraytools? Fraytools is a separate program from Fraymakers that you can use to create custom content in Fraymakers. So you can make custom characters, stages, game modes, menus, items, and more with Fraytools. Basically anything that Team Fray can add into the game, you can add into the game as well, which is really cool, and it's definitely the selling point of this game. They want it to be as beginner friendly as possible. They want people with little to no coding experience to still be able to add content into the game if they wish. Basic programming skills will help you create more advanced custom content, and understanding Adobe Flash/Animate helps too. They plan to create tutorials to help guide you along the way when the tester builds come out at the very least, so that's good. There will be an in-game browser to download user-generated content. You will be able to play custom content online eventually. It's not going to be out for tester build straight away, but anybody who's not a tester should be able to do it by the time early access comes out. Fraytools in general is a cross-platform engine agnostic desktop app. So in English, that means first of all that Fraytools will be available in Windows, Mac, and Linux, just like Fraymakers is in general. And then engine agnostic means that you could use Fraytools in any game engine and potentially use it to create content within different games as well using plugins. Publishing assets is done in such a manner that is not strictly limited to Fraymakers. They have confirmed that. So again, I'm not really like a coder, but I'm sure people who know how to code might find that very interesting. Speaking of code, Fraytools is written in TypeScript plus Redact/Redux with a dash of OpenFL, all wrapped up in a nice little package via Electron. I have no idea what any of that means, but again, some people out there will know what it means, so there you go. There is a HAXE-LIKE programming language for scripting within Fraytools, and it's subject to change. It uses the Heaps game engine, and it compiles everything in the game with #link, I believe. Again, I have no idea what exactly I'm talking about right now, so if you want to correct me in the comments, please go ahead. There will be a code inspection tool within Fraytools. Fraytools is not an art program, and it's not necessarily an animation program either. You can drag, drop, and arrange your sprites, HURTBOXES, and scripts in a simple flipbook style manner, and the software takes care of the sprite sheeting behind the scenes when you export. You can use like animation interpolation, but other than that you can't really animate within Fraytools. You are again allowed to use like keyframes and stuff, but you just bring in the images and then you keyframe it from there. Some sprite art programs that you can use for Fraytools that I recommend and other people have recommended include Sprite. That costs money, but it's the best one out there probably. Photoshop, again, costs money, but it's one of the better ones to use for pixel art. LibreSprite, it's free and open source, so that's one that's really good, and Radzo, who's been on this channel before, highly recommends it. You can use Piskel. It is an art program that you can use within your browser, and it's not too shabby. It has all the bare bones essential stuff, and so does Pixil Art. That's Pixil Art. You will have the ability to quickly build out alternate color palettes for any character that you use. You are able to use tile sets to create stages easily. You can bring in custom images, sound effects, music, external scripts, tile sets, raw binary assets, and more. All of it will be bundled into one package for the game engine to consume. There will be auto keyframing. You can select a series of images and arrange them in an animation in one click. Again, there's an auto HURTBOXer, which dynamically generates collision boxes around your character. There is animation tweening. There is polygon terrain, where you can draw polygonal hit detection areas over freeform stage art. There will be code auto completion, which again will help a lot for all those people who don't know what to do when they're coding. And then there will be frame labels, which refer to specific frames in your animation by name, just so that you can keep things nice and neat and organized. And then, of course, there's Fraymakers integration for Fraytools. You can publish and see your changes instantly within the Fraymakers sandbox environment. So that will be a good way to test your Fraymakers characters, stages, and whatnot for bugs and other things like that. There will be sprite scaling in Fraytools. There will also be layered sprites in Fraytools, which could allow for custom costumes. No, not custom colors. I'm talking costumes, things that you can like put over your character that are completely different than just like what they're wearing. Duo characters are possible within Fraytools, and evidence points towards you being able to do more, like a Pokemon Trainer 3-in-1 type of thing, which, yeah, that's really dang cool. Characters can be removed due to copyright issues. This was actually my question in the backer Q&A. This is where I'm getting all my information from. I asked if they would allow SSF2 sprite rips to be in Fraytools, or they would remove them, and they said, well, characters can be removed due to copyright reasons. So there's that. There's going to be modifiable AI in Fraytools, which kind of hints at the fact that there's probably just going to be some kind of default AI, but you can change it if you want, if you know how to do it. Team Fray is not sure if there will be Steam Workshop support for Fraymakers. There will be a way to report inappropriate, malicious, or illegal content that gets into Fraymakers, as well as ways to make your favorite content more visible to others. Team Fray wants a dedicated space for Fraytools creators to interact within the community, kind of like how you already can with Steam Workshop. So that might be the way in which they support Steam Workshop in the first place. Since there will be an in-game browser for downloading content, that might be the only way in which we get that workshop support. And also, I just want to clarify that that doesn't really confirm that they are going to make that a thing. If they want something, that means they might do it. Doesn't mean that they will. User-generated content becoming official is possible, even for original characters, so that's extremely interesting. How customizable official content such as characters and stages will be has not been fleshed out by the team yet, and based off what I have seen, it's likely going to be limited. Custom announcer packs are being looked into, so you could probably do that within Fraytools if they do decide to do that. This comes free with Fraymakers, so when you buy Fraymakers you get Fraytools as well. Testers will have Fraytools, and I will be playing the tester build, and I will be using Fraytools, so please tune into that around the end of July or August or whenever this freaking thing comes out. Fraytools will not be on Switch, but they are going to do their best to attempt to get user-generated content on Fraymakers. You just won't be able to make it on your Switch, so sorry. Tutorials, documents, samples, and templates for Fraymakers will be up by the time tester builds release, including art guides. That's going a bit more in depth about what you are going to see in terms of guides once the tester builds come out. They are not sure how custom characters will be presented in-game just yet, and as a matter of fact, we haven't seen any UI for Fraymakers at all. We haven't seen any menus or anything like that. At the most, we've just gotten we've only gotten the fighter HUD so far. And then the most important question of all was answered in the backer Q&A. You will be able to cover yourself in oil and fly when it rains in Fraymakers. Man, does that date when this backer Q&A happened? Yes. Yes, it absolutely does. And to end things off, I just want to give you guys a bit of a history lesson here on why Fraymakers was created, what led up to its creation, and what its purpose is. So, its purpose is to allow players to create any voids in content that Team Fray cannot deliver themselves. The history behind Fraytools goes back to a cut feature that SSF2 is going to have called SSF2 Expansion. This was going to be a DLC system for SSF2 where once the game finished development, both devs and players could create new content for the game. The idea was not entirely scrapped, as they took this idea and expanded upon it greatly for Fraymakers. And there you have it. I hope you guys found it informative. If you did, leave a like on this video and subscribe because I've still got plenty more things to cover in the month of Fray for you guys, and I will see you on the next edition of this series. Bye bye.